Hurricane Sam, it remains a Category 4 hurricane at this time. Hurricane hunters were out there earlier today sampling Hurricane Sam. They're back with some reconnaissance, but before we get to that, we're first going to go to the latest public advisory. So it's maintaining a Category 4 or intensity over the tropical Atlantic. So at 5 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, the eye of Hurricane Sam was located by an Air Force Reserve Unit Hurricane Hunter aircraft over latitude 17.9 degrees north and longitude 55 degrees west. Sam is moving towards the northwest near 9 miles per hour, and this general motion with an increase in forward speed is expected during the next couple of days. A turn towards the north is forecast by Friday. On the forecast track, Sam will pass well to the east or northeast of the northern Leeward Islands through Wednesday. Maximum sustained winds are near 130 miles per hour with higher gusts. We can confirm that with the recon that just came in. We're going to go ahead and go to drop 7, which is the northeastern eyewall. That's the strongest part of the hurricane. Drop 7 found it when it dropped. It was at 117 knots, which if you do the math on that, it's about 135 miles per hour. So this is definitely a Cat 4 hurricane. So we can confirm that. That's strong, actually stronger than 130. So, yeah. Some fluctuations in intensity are expected during the next couple of days, but Sam is forecast to remain a major hurricane through late this week. Hurricane force winds have extend outwards up to 40 miles from the center, and tropical storm force winds extend out 140 miles from the center. So no change when it comes to that. Just want to make it very clear, there is no change. Pressure has dropped to 947 millibars, so that's a bit of a change. It was 952 6 hours ago. Now it's 947. So we're going to head to the cone. This is the cone right here. You can see that it is expected to remain a major hurricane until Sunday, where it is expected to weaken to a Category 2. There is a possibility that this hurricane could go up to 140 miles per hour, but in my opinion, that's likely not going to happen. If it happens, then good for it. That means it's actually is still pretty well organized. In fact, the structure of it actually looks pretty good. And the eye, as you can see, is clearing out at this time. It was struggling for a little bit, but now it's really clearing out. But I think 130 is the absolute max it's going to go. That's my opinion. But it could go up to 140. There's absolutely a possibility for that, to do that. But yeah, it's expected to remain a Cat 4 hurricane until Friday. It becomes a Cat 3 hurricane, and then weakens from there. And then we're going to go to the tracks, which we can cross-check with the cone. They match about the same. They're about the same thing. There's no change whatsoever. Well, there is some deviation. Like all these models, they're in somewhat of an agreement to each other 4 days out. Then 5 days out, the models kind of split like 6 to 7 days out. You can see that mess up there. The AVNI has it going, having a loop all the way through Newfoundland, which I hate to break it to you guys who are doing the AVNI model. That's not going to happen. The environment does not support something like that. Anyway, now that we're done with the tracks, we're going to go to the intensity. The intensity right here has as a Cat 4. Majority of the models have it leveling off at its peak right here, and then slowly weakening with a very quick weakening after that. With some models going it down to tropical storm force strength a week out, but a few have it strengthening again and going up to 150 miles per hour, which it's likely not going to get that strong. It could get up to 140, but that's the absolute maximum it'll go. I hate to break it to you guys, but it's not going to go up to 150 miles per hour unless it just starts deepening right here and right now, which is unlikely to happen at this point. The structure looks good. The eye is clearing out, but those cloud tops, we don't have that minus 70 ring we saw a few days ago, so it's likely not going to happen. Now we're going to go ahead and analyze the hurricane reconnaissance even further. We found some SFMR data around 120 knots right here. The flight level winds were around close to that. They flagged those, so they put a dropsonde in it. So that's when they put the northeast drops in, and that's when they found the 117 knots. Now, Comparing that to the rest of the hurricane, this is the strongest quadrant of it. We're going to go to the eye. They found pressure of 948 in the eye, so there you go right there. That's how the NHC went with 147. Northwestern eye wall, it was at 78 knots. That's the weakest part of the hurricane generally. 78 knots, which equates to about a Category 1 hurricane. So drop 2, which is the southeastern eye wall, it went straight there. 97 knots, which I believe is just barely above Category 3 strength at that point. So it's either barely at Category 3 strength or is at Category 2 strength. It's basically a borderline at this point. Now we're going to go to the southwestern eye wall, which they sampled right after that. 99 knots, so this is that's Cat 3 strength right there. Then the northeastern eye wall, which we already looked at, 117 knots, which confirms it's a Cat 4 already. So then there's another eye drops in at 949 millibars. The Hurricane Hunter aircraft actually finished its mission, so there's not going to be any more drop-ins into it, although I wish they stayed, so that way we could sample to see if it's getting stronger, weaker, or if it's remaining the same. Because usually they make 2 passes when it comes to hurricanes like this, but this time they're making 1, so that's pretty interesting. So back to the satellite once again. You can see that structure pretty impressive, although there's a bit of dry air right there. But regardless, it's not going to really impact the core of it. The core looks pretty healthy at this time, even though it's moving north. It's right now the center of circulation is probably even further north than 17.9. It's probably over 18 degrees north at this point. So yeah, I'll be keeping a very close eye on it. Now, with all that being said, it's time to go to the key takeaways of this hurricane. First key takeaway: it's still a Cat 4 hurricane. It's still going to be a Cat 4 hurricane. Hurricane hunters were in there to confirm this. Everything else is the same. The pressure has dropped a little bit. And okay, I completely forgot about the impacts. The surf swells will impact. Swells generated by SAM will impact the Lesser Antilles during the next several days. Swells are expected to reach Bermuda and the Bahamas in a couple of days, and then spread to the United States East Coast late this week. These swells could be life-threatening and cause rip current conditions. Please consult your local weather office. So yeah, if you are in the Bahamas or Bermuda, I would start consulting your local officials tomorrow. And if you're in the U.S., I would start consulting them on Thursday. So yeah, because if we look at the cone once again, I know I completely disregarded this earlier, but bear with me. Lesser Antilles aren't going to get anything. They're going to get some surf, and that's about it. Bermuda, if this hurricane does expand in size, they could get some outer bands. But the main threat for Bermuda now is the surf. As for the eastern U.S., it's going to be the surf. It's not going to be nearly as bad as it is in the Leeward Islands because of how far the hurricane is, but it's still there. So anyway, that's key takeaway number 1. We're going to go to key takeaway number 2, which we're going to talk about. We already talked about the cone. We're going to go to these models right here. Generally in agreement that these models are in 4 days out. However, after 5 days, it kind of just like goes all over the place 6 to 7 days out. With the AVN I have it going like loop around Newfoundland, which it's not going to happen. I hate to break it to them. It's not going to happen. The models, but 4 days out, the models are in agreement that it's going to start turning in 3 days to the northeast. So there's key takeaway number 2. Key takeaway number 3 is that the hurricane is expected to level off according to the majority of the models and slowly weaken out to 5 days, and then after that, some of the models have it tanking down to tropical storm strength, which let's hope that happens for Pete's sake, because this hurricane has been a major hurricane for several days, and let's hope it weakens to that point in the next week. Let's hope it happens, but again, it's pretty early to really say that, so it's more of a wait and see at this point. Key takeaway number 4: hurricane hunters were in this hurricane. They have confirmed that this is a Category 4 hurricane. They first went through the western eye wall to the southeastern part of the storm. Then they went north. Then they went through the northeastern eye wall. Then the southwestern eye wall. to confirm it's a Cat 4. And like I showed you with this drop zone a couple of times, drop 7, it's 117 knots, which equates to about 135 miles per hour. So this thing is definitely a Cat 4. And now to the final key takeaway at this moment. The hurricane is getting better organized. The eye is starting to clear out again, and let's hope that well, let's not say let's hope. It appears to be the case. Let's just hope that those clouds just don't mask it again, considering that the eye has been doing just fine underneath the surface, underneath all those clouds and everything. And although there is some dry air that's moving in right here, it's likely not going to impact this hurricane at the present time. But I will be keeping a close eye on this hurricane, as well as that dry air, as well as this whole situation. So be sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications for more updates.